Hi, welcome to Chamber Chat. I'm Elizabeth Austin, Public Relations with the Citrus County Chamber of Commerce. Today we are still talking about Fire Up Citrus, and we have one of its presenters, Richard Fernley, here to talk about his idea for rail in Citrus County. So I will allow him to talk a moment about his idea for high-speed rail in Citrus County. So tell us.
Well, hello, Elizabeth. Thank you for having me. You know, I see a great need for our country, not just in jobs, but for young people in this country. I see a great need in rural communities, and the thought came to me a few months ago, what could fill that need? And I came across an article that touched on how the number of licensed drivers between the ages of 16 and 18 has declined by 15% in the last 25 years. The University of Michigan did that study. And then I looked at the another figure where the drivers under age 30 have decreased by 10%. Now, why is this happening? Well, there's the economic downturn. There's also the increased cost of gas, vehicle maintenance. So this leaves a void, not only just for jobs in general, but for the young people in our country. So upon doing further research, I found that the benefits of rail are quite astonishing in the long run. And for a long-term plan of Citrus County, this would be ideal for us to participate in, to not just secure our economic future for the next 5, 10, 20 years, but for the next 50, 100 years. This is something big and is being done around the world very successfully.
Well, I wanted to mention that you're a new resident of Citrus County, and you're also a college student and young professional. So your perspective, you're kind of bringing a new perspective to this county, I believe. Well,
you know, as a young professional, our generation is faced with challenges that have not been faced by any generation before us. We have many people leaving college faced with low prospect of jobs. On top of that, they have high debt loads, so to go out and get a loan for a car or house is very difficult. So to give these people the opportunity for a lower cost of living, the beautiful surroundings of Citrus County, this is a burgeoning opportunity. As we all know, there's plenty of housing stock in this country, or county rather, and there's plenty of opportunity to have our property values rise again. So,
now, could you share some of the data that you had on rail and what it can do?
Well, the one that strikes me is that for every dollar that's invested in rail, the U.S. Department of Commerce points out that $3 is invested in the rest of the American economy. And for every job created in rail, creates 4.5 jobs elsewhere in the economy. I look at China right now. China's invested $300 billion in their national rail network. They are experiencing an economic boom from this investment. We look at Europe. We look at all these other places that have gone ahead and implemented these things and the success it has. And like I said, as a rural community, it's even more important for Citrus County to get on board, as it were.
Now, what would you like to see happen with the ideas from Fire Up Citrus? You're very passionate, and there's others. What would you like to see happen?
Well, there was a lot of great ideas at Fire Up Citrus. I think what we should not do is let these ideas be forgotten, okay? We need to help the presenters and the community leaders meet and to foster and grow these ideas to see how they could work in the community, how we can get out there. So I'm thinking think tank meetings, possibly collaborative labs would be ideal to help us individuals, and not just the presenters themselves, but to include other people into that discussion.
Now, you started your presentation with some interesting facts, and actually at one time in our state, railroad was a big part of it.
Yes,
so
it was.
If you could talk a moment about that.
Well, after the Civil War, Florida was not in good shape. So again, it took the courage of two individuals, Henry Plant, Henry Flagler, to spend their own personal fortunes by bringing railroads to the state of Florida. And the rest is history, so to speak, because that laid the infrastructure that helped Florida grow in the 20th century. A lot of people say, oh, Mickey Mouse made Florida. No, the railroads did.
Yes, and they are working today in different capacities.
That's right. You know, it's funny. The day of Fire Up Citrus, Orlando signed the Orlando Airport signed the agreement to have a station built. There is a private company called FECI that's going to be offering railroad passenger rail service from Miami to Orlando. And a couple days later, the legislature wants that rail to go to Tampa. So, ideally, the next stop from Tampa would be Tallahassee. How do you get to Tallahassee from Tampa? Well, I think Citrus County is in the way.
Or definitely in a good position to be along the route.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I also wanted to see about what response you have received since your presentation. It's been a couple of weeks, but
it has.
You've
but
heard back.
I tell you, after that get together, there was such great energy in that room. So many great ideas. So many the future moving forward. That's how we grow. And within a day, I had responses from various members of the community that are also passionate about rail and that also have the same vision about seeing Citrus County be ahead of the curve. By being ahead of the curve, we're going to be able to bring the jobs. We're going to be able to bring the investment that's needed to create those jobs that keep people here, that keep the young people here.
Well, thank you, Richard, for coming down and talking with us on Chamber Chat.
Well, thank you. My website's blazingnewrails.com. Check it out for more. Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in to Chamber Chat, and stay tuned for the next segment.